Okay, it seems that we can start. Natalia, can you please share our board for today?
Yeah, so I'm gonna put a link into our chat. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have some answers in the chat. So in the morning, I'm coffee person, but in the later hours, I prefer green tea. Nice tea and coffee. I like coffee black and strong and Japanese tea. Oh, I also like Japanese tea. Yeah, and Jan already shared the presentation, so you can join and yeah, let me share the screen. And so this is basically our Easy Retro board. So today we all gathered for a lean coffee. Maybe some of you know these kind of meetings, but maybe some of you don't. So I'm gonna explain to you our today's rules. So basically, lean coffee is your possibility to show yourself, to speak, to share your thoughts on topics that were chosen previously. So for today, we chose imposter syndrome, soft skills in IT or business analysis, and the mindfulness. Basically, what we have here on the board, we have a few columns, and your task is to ask questions or write down topics that are interesting to you into this question topics column. And after that, we will collect all the topics and you can vote for them. And we will be discussing them. While discussion, we have some experts and I will introduce them to you a little bit later. And also, you as well can raise up your hands and speak on any topic you like. And please don't be shy, share your experience. We are really interested to know you better. So, oh, great. We are already having some topics. And yeah, let me just, for this 4 minutes that we will be collecting our topics, I'll explain you the rules. So first rule is to speak English. Second rule, if you want to talk, please raise your hand, and then Evelina will give you the word, and you will unmute yourself and start speaking in English. So for the other times, please mute yourself while you are not speaking, so we would not be distracted on any other noises or any other things that can distract us. Please be respectful for others. To others, I don't think anyone of us has such problems, but still, yeah, be respectful, and we'll try to keep it to the schedule. So please don't do it too long. Like orient yourself to 1 minute, 1.5 minutes per one answer. And I still don't know how many questions are we going to have to discuss, but for now we already have 3 questions and already have few votes, so please don't be shy. Put your questions in one question at one sticker in this column. Vote for those questions and raise your hand, and let's all have a good time. So, what a race we have here. So we have, okay, we have already 4 answers to 4 votes for this topic. So I guess we're gonna start from, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce you our experts. So today we have as an expert, Jan.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to meet you all. My name is Jan. I'm a business analyst from Gdańsk office, working at EPAM for over 8 years and experiencing imposter syndrome every single day. So I guess that's already kind of like a start or the answer to the first question.
Great. And also we have Evelina today.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's a big pleasure to see you all in this great Thursday. I also, as I already mentioned, love the topic about imposter syndrome. So I hope we will have a very active and interesting discussion, and it will be helpful for everyone. As Natalia said, please be active. Don't be shy to unmute yourself, to share some experience cases or put them in the chat, because it will be more interesting if it will be a dialogue, not only for me, Jan and Natalia. Yeah, so
Yeah.
thanks, guys.
And we have also Natalia. So Natalia, you can also, present yourself to our audience.
Yeah, today I'm facilitating this meeting, so this is also a great experience for me. I'm a business analyst. I'm originally from Ukraine, but currently live in Switzerland and work for Swiss office. I'm a business analyst, also a Scrum Master. And also a volunteer, so I'm trying to participate in lots and lots of activities such as this one or any other. And and I want to introduce you the fourth and the main expert is you, the audience. Your thoughts you are really valued, so please be active. And so let's start from the very first question. How long lasts imposter syndrome?
The main question, when can it finish at all? Yeah, so Jan, I see that you want to start.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually not something that you would like to hear. But I, despite the fact I work in IT for 20 years, despite the fact I've been at EPAM for 8 years, I've been a business analyst for almost 15 years, I experience imposter syndrome every single day. And more importantly, the work that we do is enforcing that feeling every single day, especially in a company like EPAM. Why do I say that? Because look at this from this factual point of view. Every now and then we are being thrown to a new project and we meet new domain, new technologies, new people, new stakeholders, and we start to think to ourselves, am I really the right person to do the job? Like, I don't know anything about new domain. My This is my ninth project at EPAM, and every single project was in different domain, right? So I was like thinking, why do I still, it's great that I can learn those domains. It's great that I can act on those domains after some period of time, but at the same time, I feel like, will I manage? Still, it's easier to change project at EPAM rather than to change the whole company, because at least with a new project, we still have the support of our colleagues who knows us from the previous projects, and we are still in a known entity, known environment, such as EPAM. But at the same time, even if we are working on the project, every now and then there will be a new requirement. And then we have this question, do I understand it correctly? Will the development team be happy with how I will write it? Will the customer be happy with the solution? Will they sign off the solution? Will they sign off the requirement? And we have all of those questions that don't make us feel comfortable, right? So it's not a very pleasant feeling that we have, but at the same time, like I mentioned, it for me it lasts my entire career. But what we can do about this is not to get panicked by that, and just really acknowledge that, yeah, we are doing something of importance. Yes, those are really the valid questions, and instead of being paralyzed by those questions, let's just try to find an answer to them. And on my current project, I actually finished my project yesterday, was my last day, and for the last 2 weeks I was doing knowledge transfer session to the BA from the customer side. And despite the fact I was experiencing imposter syndrome every single day, I was still able to conduct those knowledge transfer sessions. And during those knowledge transfer sessions, I actually realized, I know something. I know the requirements. I know the business process. I know the stakeholders whom to contact on which topic, right? So the things that we have in our head, the worries that we have in our head, not necessarily is aligned with the real situation, right? And we sometimes have this feeling that, we worry about things that will not happen. Instead of worrying about things that will not happen, we should worry about things that we have control over, right? So acknowledge the fact what we are doing, acknowledge the fact that if we don't know something, admit it, and let's find the answer. Being an analyst is not a profession; it's a lifestyle. We analyze everything, right? So let's use our analytical skills to find the answers for the things that we don't know.
Yeah, Jan, I agree with your position because it is impossible to fight imposter syndrome because it is a part of our personality, practically. Yeah, and maybe you don't need to fight it, but it is important to identify it. Why you feel this imposter inside? Why do you feel that you are not enough? And when you identify the root cause, you can do something with this. And for me, the best way is to be a doer. When you feel that you are not enough, you proceed to do what you can. Because when you focused, okay, we always not enough in some stuff. For example, I'm sometimes when we look around, especially we have the social media, and we look, okay, this is perfect mother or father, this is perfect specialist, this is perfect businessman, for example, and it is all different people, but we are only one person, and for me it is very very helpful to not compare yourself with all these people and focus what you can, what you know, what expertise you already have, and proceed with your work. Yeah, Jan, I see that you want to add something.
I see that we have just a chat, a comment in the
Yeah.
chat from Vlad about, Vlad mentioned that we have no control over some things like worrying about the score of yesterday's game. I
Yeah.
mean, for those of you who watched Polish game, apologies for my national team. We don't know how to play football. We didn't deserve to be promoted to the next round, but what can we say? At the same time, it's Socrates who said that I know that I know nothing, right? And then if we admit that fact, we can build on top of that and try to find those gaps and try to solve those gaps. And also, Igor mentioned in the chat that some psychologists say that this syndrome can be a result of perfectionism. And any ideas about that? It can be a result of perfectionism, but it's also can be the case of our own personal, let's say, approach and attitude, right? I know people who have this attitude that my best isn't my good enough, and that whatever they are doing is never enough. Like they know they can do more, they want to do more, even though they are already, far exceeding any kind of expectations, right? So if you feel that, you might have some doubts about whether you are the right person on the to do some activity, some work, don't hesitate to reach out to other people for some feedback. Are you on the right track with some activities? Do you understand the thing correctly? I know there was a training at EPAM about cultural difference that um, in Eastern Slavic countries, sometimes when you ask a question to your supervisor, that supervisor might identify this as jeopardizing the let's say how to say it, that you question their skills, question their leadership, right? Whereas in fact in Poland it is perceived completely different. Like I asked more detailed question just because I want to with a higher quality, with a higher standard. I want to really know what the task is all about, right? So I think there is nothing wrong with asking the right questions if we also would require any kind of assistance with the imposter syndrome or any task that we have, just to receive this positive feedback.
Yeah, and also I put a link to the chat on the one great article about imposter syndrome where you can find some tests and also identified the type of your imposter, because sometimes it can be connected with perfectionist. Sometimes you choose to be for example the soloist and do everything only by yourself, and in this case it is better to delegate something sometimes. So when you understand why you what type of imposter you have, maybe it will be easier to find some way of handling it. Natalia, and maybe you also want to add some
Yeah,
thoughts.
yeah,
Yeah.
I also have some thoughts on it because it also happened with me all the time, especially when I was more junior and when it all really started. I was not confident. But what I also would like to say, that the more you know, the more you broaden your horizons, the more you understand, you see those different things, the more you understand that you're small, because for a person that is not that well developed and well educated, the world is this size. But for the person who is constantly developing herself and seeing other horizons and any other spaces, areas where you can develop, the world becomes like this and then like this, and then when you get the enlightenment, the world is never ending, and from my experience, people who are really worthy, who are have a lot of achievements in their life, they are usually humble. And those people who are really who people that you see and you really want to learn from them, and you really are they are like role models for you, they are usually humble and simple people. And those people who are like yeah, I am the best, I know everything, they don't they don't give you a feeling that you want to be like them. So being humble is okay. Everything is about the balance, how not to think of yourself as nothing, but at the same time not to think of yourself as a very big person that requires some special attention or any other kind. So to balance in this and understand like reality, that if you're in this company, if you're having such a cool customer and customer is appreciating your work, that means that you are okay, you are fine, but there is always a place where you can grow.
Yeah, great summary, Natalia. Thank you for this. And also, we have one good workshop in EPAM. It called I'm Remarkable. So I took part in it and could recommend all of you, because that's great. And the purpose of this workshop, and also good tip, is to celebrate your achievements and to say sometimes to yourself that you are remarkable, that you are great, that you make a great walk in your life.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I guess we're done with this question. Let's move it to discussed. And the next question that has lots and lots of voices, votes on it is which soft skill you find the most valuable to have as BA at EPAM?
Before we start discussion, I want to ask our audience to put the skill that they think is the most valuable for BAs. It will be very interesting to go through your thoughts also. So please put your opinion in the chat. Yeah, sorry, Natalia.
Yeah, it's fine. So I guess it's for me, I can start from
Yeah.
my point of view. So for me, for BA, the best thing that you can do is constantly learn. So for me, this skill is to know how to learn, know to how to do self-learning, know to how to educate yourself, and never stop in this process. Never think that you are know everything, or you are too good or good enough. Just make it a daily routine to learn something new, and you will see how your life will change when you are always getting new information. That this is the thing that really makes me alive, makes me feel alive every time that I go out of my comfort zone, when I learn something new or I do something new or I get any other skills. This is the thing that really makes me feel that I'm not just living this life like a couch potato or a passive person and life is just passing by. So yeah, I guess self-education, self-learning, ability to self-learn is the main skill for me.
Super. And we have real big activity in our chat with many different thoughts. So maybe,
It's
yeah,
interesting to
yeah.
see, listening and active listening, like, like so close but yet so far. Like, I mean, like this can be perceived differently. But I know, of course, that Igor also mentioned active listening. But yeah, we have very good answers: emotional intelligence, listening, communication skills, active listening, being positive about people, adaptability, analytical mind, critical thinking, quick answers, teamwork, negotiations, understanding the need very clearly, which also comes into the, I guess, active listening, right? And remember that you are, part of the team, so being a team player. So, Eve, what do you think? Which one of those skills, or maybe you have your own that is most valuable? What's your point of view?
uh, you were so fast, Jan, because my plan was to ask you, okay, you are a chief, you have so big experience, Jan, what do you think? But now I need to find some answer for me. Okay, the main BA skills, it is of course communication, and but it is like choose in this what is more important, value or needs from the customer. Yeah, and all these points are connected with each other. So if good communication, when you say, when you get have good questions, but when you also can hear the answers that you get. Yeah, and of course, good communication connected with emotional intelligence, because it is difficult to build communication when you cannot understand needs, emotional state of your speak partner. That's why, Jan, I will send you this ball. Yeah, and yeah, it's really interesting to hear
Yeah,
what you think.
I mean, when it comes to communication, I would have to say that we live in a funny times that right now it's it's very difficult to find people who would like to listen. And if you would look at the, for example, politicians when they have a debate, it's not
Yeah.
about listening to one another and to answering with arguments. It's about overshouting the other person. It's about showing that the other person is wrong rather than addressing the arguments, right? And this active listening skills is something that is very rare at the moment because there is tons of people who want to say something, but very few people who want to listen. When it comes to, in general, the BA skill which I value the most, I would say that critical thinking that helps us to really question everything and to check whether the real problem that the customer is giving us is the problem that they are facing, or whether there's something that we can suggest slightly better. But I very much liked the answer that Vlad has actually posted because the question here is which soft skill is most valuable to have as a BA at EPAM, and I think this adaptability is very much the key skill that we need to have and that we actually have that helped us grow to a company of such a huge size. Why is that? Because every project is different, every domain is different. We use different tools, we have different stakeholders, we have different customers from different countries, right? So we need to adapt to that particular environment. Right now, I finished my ninth project, and every project was in different domain, using different tools with different stakeholders, right? And to maintain a high performance, to maintain a growth of our company, I think that adaptability is really really great skill to have. So to everyone here on the meeting, if you have a moment, please give Vlad Dimitriuk big warm of applause or badge on Hero Portal for coming up with this skill, because yeah, really really good answer, at least from my point of view.
Yes, skill is really important, especially during our time of changes. That it is difficult to understand what we can expect tomorrow or we next week. And there is a great book that I really love, Dark Swan. Yeah, it is about be adaptable in different situation, because when everything is stable, it is easier to raise and to get something. But when you faced some challenges, yeah, it's real important. Okay. Yeah, we also have some comments in the chat. What is the right question? Interesting question about what is in Ken?
I'm looking at the things that we
Chat?
have in the
Yeah,
chat. Yeah, exactly.
asking
And
the right question. Yeah, what is right?
well, there is no right question. I mean, that question is just too vague to it always depends on the situation in which we are in which we are placed. So definitely, depending on the situation where we are, that question will be like very very different. And I think we also kind of like covered this on our earlier Lean Coffee session today, that
Yeah.
when we have a when we start the conversation with the customer, it's always better to say, like I mentioned, this 2 words too little than 1 word too much, right? So that's why
Yeah, and
yeah.
Maria also wrote so good answer that every question is right. The only question that is wrong is the one that you didn't ask.
There is a British saying, and I hope I will not make it. I mean, I'm gonna try to recall it from the memory. I hope I will not screw it up. What is right is what is left if you've done everything else wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of
Okay.
course, here we have also Yuka mentioned about the rule of 5 whys. Yeah, definitely. Those are the techniques that we have, right? Like the 5 whys, or the what, when, why, and how, for example, also, right? So there's also those questions that we can definitely ask. But yeah, but
But
definitely when it comes to this question, adaptability would be my number one answer.
okay, maybe let's move on.
Yeah, let's go to other questions. And the next one would be, during the presentation meeting, somebody from the audience makes a comment implying you are not good enough, not have enough knowledge. How to deal with that? So I think this, if it's from a real experience, it's a pretty tough experience. I must say
Yeah.
that it doesn't happen often. Yeah, but if it happens, it's kind of unexpected situation. So yeah, guys, what do you think?
In such unpleasant cases, I think that firstly, it is important not to take it on your account at that moment. Be calm, and secondly, try to get details, because maybe this person has bad mood and is looking for someone, for some object. Yeah. But if you ask some question, okay, why you think that I'm not enough, not good enough, you will get more clear feedback. You will get some details. Maybe it's real something wrong with, for example, your previous work, but maybe it is only opinion of this person. What do you think, Jan?
Yeah, I think in general
Mm.
this goes back to the emotional intelligence, right? That
Yeah.
we like emotions are always a very bad advisor. Although I'm always tempted, like when I'm placed in that situation, like I always just imagine myself thinking that I will tell to that person saying, "Do you want to conduct this training going forward on? Sure, no problem. Like the stage is yours. If you know better, by all means, I would love to do it one time, but I never do. It's like I've mentioned, it's just not to yeah, definitely doesn't make sense to address that situation and also to address the emotion. We will never be able to satisfy everyone, but same as for example here, what we do in this lean coffee session, right? Yes, if Natalia, myself, we are here as experts, but we value your opinion, we value your uh, uh, thoughts just as much, and those opinions are equally valuable as ours, right? Like we are not saying that we are the oracle and we know absolutely everything. If there is a person who can help understand a certain complex situation, we can also, just mention in that situation that during the presentation, someone has a better understanding, better idea. Okay, fine. Let's invite them to the conversation in a polite way, uh, just by asking, could you please, in that case, elaborate more, share your point of view, share your opinion. Like for example, Eva did when she asked, "What is your opinion about that skill from the BA?" Right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also think that you should not. I actually also face such kind of things, maybe not very often in my professional life, but in my personal life. Sometimes I also have those opinions of people. And, it's also a skill not to react on each and every opinion, because you don't usually people are speaking not about you, they are speaking about themselves or their vision of you, but it not necessarily means that their vision is even close to reality. It can be, as Evelina mentioned, their mood for today. It can be their attitude for you, because they sometimes they have some, I don't know, some intentions or any other. It may be their personality, just their way of getting attention. So I think first of all you should keep in mind that this is just an opinion. This is not reality. This is not truth for 100%. It's opinion. You might have different opinion, and your opinion is much more valuable in your life, because this is your life and this is your opinion about yourself, than other opinions of others people. And at the same time you should differentiate who is that person. If that person is your manager, of course you should take it into consideration more respectfully, more deeply, because this is a person who has direct influence on you. If it's just a guy from the audience who maybe had a little bit of wine or something like this, you should not take it too much seriously. I'm joking, but yeah, sometimes you just always need to use this critical thinking, and there is no one advice for all situations. You should see who is speaking, why is he speaking. Just use your analytical skills to know how to react. But what I would not definitely would not recommend is start asking like getting it into emotional direction, like what do you think, why, like. And you can keep it professional, you can keep it kind, you can keep it um rational, let maybe this person has something to say. Don't take it on your own. Don't take it as a bad word about you. Maybe this is this person's way to get the attention and speak about their thoughts. So without being offended, just yeah, you can ask this person to be to give more details.
Thanks for such strong arguments, Natalia. As I see, we have two raising hands. So, Vladislav, please be the first.
Hey, thank you. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Agnieszka for the raising this question, because it's actually the question which I really wanted to discuss today. And if I may modify it a little bit, just to input the imposter syndrome taste in it. I usually have the same feeling when I conduct meetings, and I conduct on average 5 to 7 meetings per week, which involve more than 10 people. So that's a lot of money. And I feel like I'm not good enough, and maybe I miss something, or maybe this meeting is not going to be effective, and then I just lose thousands of dollars for the company if that is, if this meeting is not effective, or it's like it's a bad meeting. That's why I feel stressed all the time, and I think it's one part of my job which is really, really difficult. And I think I face it more often, and I have some, let's say, negative feelings about how I conduct the meetings myself rather than the team does. And once we had the situation in April when the customer decided to completely change the approach and to completely change the epics that we were working on. Some of them were put below the line. New epics were coming in, and we had to analyze them really quickly. We have to provide some estimations and provide the delivery dates, and it was a stressful hell of the week. So eventually, like on the third day of this of the struggle, there was one guy who is like a tag lead from the front end side, and he just sent me a message like, "Good job keeping this mess like structured, and keep this initiative going." And I was so happy after this comment that it gave me the strength for another 2 weeks to go. So I faced this imposter syndrome in the way I conduct the meetings, but eventually I think the only way to overcome it is either to have, let's say, some confirm confirmative comment from somebody if that actually makes you feel better, or confirmative comments from yourself if this makes you feel better. It's up to you, which way you would feel better, but any other way did not really help me. So it was a huge stress before, but now it's like I still have it all the time. Just like before joining this meeting, I had the refinement session which I led, and it was not perfect, but after 5-10 minutes of break, I feel good already. So it takes some time.
But isn't that the case that you just put the bar too high for yourself, and that that the expectations are just, you know, out of proportion?
I think so, maybe. I just don't want to waste somebody's time.
Hmm.
I don't want them to feel like, it's another meeting that I wasted my time on. And that's the only thing which, I mean, it's my internal issue.
Hmm.
It's not their
Hmm.
issue, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's why sometimes sometimes the only thing that we can do is to uh, be okay with our conscience, right? And just to do as much as we can do, prepare as much as we can prepare, and make sure that the outcome is as best as it can be. But we cannot control everything, and we shouldn't
Yeah,
be this try
the
to avoid being
strict.
the control freak as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not about being like too much control freak or too much strict person, but it's like trying to, let's say, do good to others. And sometimes it's just like, not all the meeting is going to be 100% effective, right? You need to realize that, but you still have this feeling that I want this meeting to be effective for everybody. Sometimes it's only the meeting for all of the front end people and for QAs, and backend people just sit and do nothing there because there is nothing for them. So it's okay also to have such a meeting when
Yeah.
somebody is not getting any value out of this meeting, but maybe they can relax and do something else. I don't know, but just I try not to be too strict, but it's still sometimes fires back, and I just feel stressed.
Yep. Yep. Thanks for sharing this.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks for sharing this case, Vlad, and your experience. Also, I see that Anna want to say something.
Yeah, I normally love what Jan you're saying about, and the pieces of advice, they're really structured and up to the point. From one thing about emotions are not good advisors, I would agree if you um, start thinking after it, if it motivates you, start thinking right after. However, if the emotion is very strong and a person can't cope with it, so, and the tempo on the project is really very active, yes, or can be considered even or a rough project. Quite often, it's good to take a break, yeah, and think, not to suppress emotions, because they and apply this technique that you were mentioning about 5 whys. Yeah. So why do I feel so angry? And there can be the answer, because I'm irritated at my boss or delivery manager, whoever. Why am I irritated? Because he's saying I should provide something and I can't provide it. Why can't I? And so on. If you analyze the situation, you will have a chance to work on your emotion, and in such a way, this analysis can lead you to a really good answer. That's why, if we go back to the statement, emotions are not good advisors, in this case, emotion will be a wonderful trigger to dig deep into a problem and find out a solution to it, so that it doesn't trigger other bad emotions in the future. Like, for example, however, it's not saying something against what you said, it's adding to
Mhm.
whatever you have said. Because you meant probably the adult behavior. You are saying to yourself, emotions are not good advisors. So stop and think. What is the solution? Probably, right?
Yeah, but also what I meant was that, for example, when you are put on the spot in a particular meeting and there's like a rush with the discussion, with the customer,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we've
That's
all
why.
been there. Like when we had, for example, the job interview, right? Uh, we went for a job interview, we didn't get that job. We went for assessment, we failed the assessment, and then we had a thought, oh, I wish I would say that. I wish I would do that, right? Sometimes we are, left with that thought in our head, and sometimes when, for example, the emotions are rising during the meeting because there is a strong discussion about the deadlines on the project, for example, right? Sometimes it's better to just even moderate the meeting. That if we see that counterparties on the meeting are just arguing and there is no productive outcome, let's suggest taking a 5 minutes break, take time to cool off, cool down, instead of just throwing arguments over there. Like, have you seen the TV series? There was How I Met Your Mother. In How I Met Your Mother TV series, Marshall and Lily, two characters, they had this rule that when they were arguing, they were fighting, and the fight was going nowhere. Or, for example, I don't know, in the middle of the fight, they just got hungry. They said pause, and they were pausing the argument, and they were just stopping this, going to eat something, going to do something else, and then they unpaused and they continued the argument where they have left it off the last time. There is also a saying: to be angry is to punish yourself for the stupidity of others. And when I heard that saying many years ago, it kind of like helped me to realize that actually, yeah, like I don't have control over some of the things, right? And there are worse things that are happening in the world than this argument that I am having right now. And this perception, although not a very positive one, helps me to realize that actually, there's nothing that important to be worried about. There's nothing that valuable to be stressing about, right? And if I can change something, I will change something. If I cannot change something, what's the point of complaining about it, right? And that's why it's also important to, like I said, not to, like, if someone gives you this input that you are not good enough to do something, don't take it personal. Just everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and you are good enough because you passed the interview to EPAM, you passed the project interview, you have the feedback from your peers. And if you are, even if the feedback that you receive from your peers is not a positive one. You have the mentoring program to upskill yourself. You have the Learn portal to go for training. You have line manager to whom you can ask for help and assistance. So in general, there are ways how we can improve ourselves and not to worry about one person's opinion who might have a bad day.
Yeah, and also one small point from my side, when you communicate with a person and see that the person is not in the best state, in nervous or in the bad mood, I love to use sometimes iMessage, these iMessages when you send to the person, I hurt you, I'm sorry that you feel or think so, and let's maybe discuss it separately. So sometimes when the person sees it and feel that you hurt him or her, it also work good and can help to make this stress level lower.
Okay, so I think we're done with this question. Yeah, should we move to another one?
Yeah, I think we can take one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have 12 minutes, so I guess this is the right time to speak about, do you think there's a relation between syndrome and lack of self-confidence?
I think by this syndrome they mean the imposter syndrome, right? So just to
Yeah, I think so. Is there a
Yeah, definitely.
relationship between imposter syndrome and lack of self-confidence?
And we see already in the chat one answer that yes, definitely, with already 3 thumbs up. my take on this is definitely there is, but also not only even self-confidence, but also, well, all of that is combined to the summary of our experience that we have, right? My first professional job experience was not a very pleasant one because I started my IT work while I was still at the university. And when I graduated from the university, the boss of the company, it was like a small 20 people IT firm, told me, well, you're no longer a student. We cannot afford to pay taxes for you. You're no longer free. So good luck. See you in the, in the future. Then I went to work in a second company, and then the crisis of 2008, 2009 happened, and they released 120 employees from that company during that crisis. I was one of those employees, and I was like thinking, I mean, what are the chances, right? Like, why? So I went to the third company, and already since the third company, my career progression was smooth, and I was already, in a better situation. But that first experience which I had kind of made me, appreciate the fact that at the moment I am, working well enough, but I want to still maintain this high performance, and that's why I get myself involved into so many activities. Maybe even more to prove to myself rather than to prove to others that I can do something and I can be, valuable, even though at the same time I have a imposter syndrome, which is kind of like a paradox, right? So, so I think this experience that we have, the belief that we have in ourselves, I think it very much can be aligned with the imposter syndrome, and imposter syndrome can be aligned with our self-confidence.
Yeah, but sometimes we can have also not realistic expectations for ourselves when we want to be ideal, and again about perfectionism. Yeah, and I see that Evgeny want to share his opinion, so please go ahead. Sorry, Janice, you are unmuted. If you wanted to say
Oh,
something.
sorry. Yeah. I think you said Evgeny, so I just
sorry, yeah, it was my mistake.
for Evgeny. Okay, yes. I think that I have an imposter syndrome. I know it, and I think that in my case, it's that the reason of the lack of self-confidence. Of course, even if I get the job and I've been said that I'm great in it, I always have that thought that maybe they are wrong. So, and they just didn't know yet, or maybe I just they didn't see all of my job, and they just didn't know that maybe I don't know something in that IT technology, that I'm just not learning enough, and so on and so on. It's so many thoughts that make me feel, of course, unhappy and exhausted sometimes. And all I can do that to read more and learn more, to increase this amount of my I don't know, these feelings of not being good enough for this job, for my job, I think.
And I think also it once again comes to the fact that we work also in a very fast growing environment, fast paced environment. Like the tools that we use constantly evolve. I mean, like I remember there was a very big boom on Silverlight technology in .NET, and everyone saying, "Wow, Silverlight's wow, next big thing," and then it dropped. Then people said Flex technology, wow, it was so awesome, and when Adobe dropped Flex, then suddenly everyone stopped interested in that. Then everyone said HTML5 is so amazing, and there will be new technology after that. The front-end developers were using JavaScript, then TypeScript, React, AngularJS, whatever. We constantly need to evolve, we constantly need to develop, we constantly need to chase after that bunny, just to be still relevant and to stay on top of the game, to be relevant to the market, right? And that is also causing this a bit of stress, a bit of this uncomfortable feeling that we have, right? Recently, I had a very interesting case. I heard about one of EPAM employees who decided to switch their career from the developer to Scrum Master, because for the developer it was too stressful to constantly keep up with knowledge about the technology, and the perception of the role of the Scrum Master is, well, you're basically just managing Scrum, so there is nothing to worry about because Scrum is constantly the same. And I was like thinking, what a load of bollocks, because you have Scrum, but you have also scaled agile framework on some of the projects. You have also less, which constantly appears and it still evolves. You have, less meaning the large agile scale projects. You have lean stuff. There's constantly the agile world still keeps evolving and still keeps changing, right? That is the nature of the business, the nature of the industry in which we are at the moment. And I think in general, we are very blessed to be in this, more or less comfortable working environment, despite the fact of this fast pacing world. But yeah, we really need to put a bit of effort to make sure that we still stay relevant, and we still evolve ourselves, because like if we identify that we don't know something, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, for example, Pavlov wrote in the chat that if you are good for, at your position for a few months, but then you face a problem, okay, it happens. It can raise self-doubt, but at the same time, again, we didn't know that we then have an opportunity to learn something new and to make ourselves better in some area, because every obstacle that we will beat will bring a benefit and bring a value to us.
Yeah, Janice, do you want to add something else or to answer to Jan?
Yes, I just wanted to add that, like a mother, and of course, like a worker, I think that it can be just linked together. That I think that I am not good enough at two of my roles, so I need
High
to
five.
do both.
High five.
Yes, yeah. So maybe we just try too hard to do everything in our life, to be the best in each of our roles, and I think it's impossible to be best in everything. So we just need to just so I don't know, accept it. I think
It's good to not to be the best, but to be the best version of yourself. And as a like, I'm also a parent since 7, maybe now almost approaching 8 months. So it's I don't know whether I'm doing things right, because there are so many books and so many, people give you advices that are completely contradictory to one another, that at the end of the day, you don't know whom to listen. So it's like my friend said, it's a lot of trial and error, with more errors than actually, than results. But at the same time, we can only try to be as best as we can be, because for being a business analyst, you have courses for driving a car. You have driving license preparation. There is no preparation for you to become a parent, right? Like,
yes.
I know, there is the saying that women, they are already building the bond while being pregnant with the child. For fathers, it's more difficult, because we only see, yeah, we are expecting the child to appear, but once the first time when I saw my son, I was like thinking, wow, this is the first day of the rest of my life. And now everything, will change, and now this is just something that I need to deal with, right? And I don't know whether I'm a good father, but I know I'm doing my best to at least, make sure that again, I'm okay with my conscience, that I spend enough time, I do enough activities, I do I am there to play my role.
Yeah, and what I also wanted to add, that even in this question, I see this, I guess, main reason from my point of imposter syndrome. So is this a lack of self-confidence? And this is the thing that you blame yourself. Yes, I have imposter syndrome because I'm not self-confident. I should develop my self-confidence. I should be the best. I would suggest to, yeah, I mean, Buddha is suggesting, like, don't concentrate to being even the best. Concentrate on being unique. Concentrate on things that you do not like others people do. You cannot there's no measures, there's no KPIs of being best, because on every good person, like a successful person, there is more successful, and it's always the matter of comparison. If you compare yourself in with you year ago, or if you compare with other person who is not developing, you would be successful. But from with other person who has other circumstances of life, perhaps was born in a more rich family, for example, or was brought up in a different country, you cannot run after him and be as good as him. So I strongly believe that this comparison thing is not right. In it also always leads to those imposter syndromes or any other syndrome that keeps feeling you bad. Just give yourself a life, give yourself the space, give yourself the ability to live this life, to have joy, to enjoy your life, to be unique, to show yourself, to speak, to have different situations, sometimes maybe mistakes, sometimes situations that bring you success or bring you joy. This is like everything is just a parts of life. So don't concentrate yourself on achieving. My way of living is exploring, not achieving.
And
Yeah,
there is and there is this one interesting thought: be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
exactly. So I guess on this good, great thought, we should finish our today's session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for those questions that you asked, but we had no opportunity to answer. We will answer them later in our soft skills BA stream. And yeah, thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for your time. It was really great and really interesting. And see you next time.
Yes, thank you, guys. I wanted to send hugs and all support for you all because you are really wonderful people and you are enough. You are enough now. So thank you.
Take good care, everyone. Stay safe.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
take
see you
care.
in the upcoming future. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.